Hello, my name is Andrew Ward. I'm 32 years old and I live in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm a teacher at Tulane University, a member of the Louisiana Historical Society, and by night, I'm a haunted history tour guide. I've been involved in paranormal research, investigations, and interventions for basically as long as I've been alive. You see, I was raised in Yemen, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, and there I became familiar with the Islamic practices of mysticism and dealing with the jinn of the deserts. I became also very familiar with the more ancient tribal practices of how to deal with spirit, both evil and good. As an adult, I spent a number of years in Poland and a few more in India, where I received a degree in comparative religion. Now, I brought this lifetime of knowledge and experience to New Orleans 7 years ago to further my education. And in that time, I've been involved in dozens of house cleansings, investigations, and basically whatever people feel they need in order to be more comfortable in their homes and, to be quite honest, in many cases, in their own skins. Um, to give you an example, 3 years ago, a friend of mine referred me to his neighbor, a French Quarter resident who had been having some difficulties, shall we say. When I first met this woman, it was clear that she did not want to talk to me. She was this hard-nosed lawyer, just the facts, very logical, not the type of person that wants to be talking about his mumbo jumbo hauntings and things like that. I mean, this is not something that she wants, especially a stranger, to know about. She actually felt betrayed by our mutual friend for having told me about her situation. And when I first talked to her, initially she was quite guarded. She wanted to know exactly who I was and just what it is that I think I'm going to be able to do for her, etc. Typical lawyer, right? I responded focusing on my scholarly background and suggested that perhaps if we could find some information about her house, something about her own life and maybe how they overlapped, maybe there was some friction, we would be able to put an end to her disturbances. After this, she was willing to basically open up, and once that first little snap in the dam opens, the whole thing comes gushing out. And she was completely open and told me about her horrible, almost nightly experiences. She had moved into the house 2 years earlier and never had a problem until her boyfriend moved in, that is. Um, you see, that night, things went completely crazy. She was walking down the hall, if I remember correctly, and she was walking to her bedroom when she felt someone reach out and grab her hair and give it a nice, strong tug. Now, she thought this was her boyfriend, and so she screamed out and she's like, "What are you doing?" He was actually down the hall in the bedroom, and he comes running out and being like, "What? What's wrong?" So she ignored it, thought she just imagined it. We're not going to pay any attention to this at all. And over the next few weeks, she had every kind of experience in the book. I mean, it was the cold spots in the house. Look, if you've ever been in New Orleans in the summer, you know there ain't no cold spots nowhere, okay? And, there was this constant, persistent feeling of someone always watching her. The nightmares were getting progressively worse. And the other thing is, she would come over and look at her dresser, and all over it would be her makeup and her perfume, and it would be completely scattered around. No matter how many times she would try to put everything back in order, she would leave, even if it was just for a couple minutes, and return, and everything would be scattered all over the place, completely messed up, which is, very alarming to someone. And then the real kicker was after about 2 months, she would be laying in bed, and she would feel as if someone was physically trying to push her out of it. Now, meanwhile, what about the boyfriend, okay? He felt things all right, but nothing like her. He would be lying in bed, and he would feel this gentle, loving finger caress behind his ear and the nape of his neck, and, he would coo romantically, and, he would feel this warm breath on his cheek, and he would turn over to embrace his lover, and of course, she's 3 feet away on the very edge, the sort of sliver of the edge of the bed, grumbling about how she feels like she's being pushed out of it. Um, One thing that was very significant when I was talking to her, she told me, "It's a woman. I just feel it. I just know it. It's a woman." And I remember her asking me, "Is that crazy? Am I crazy for asking this?" I reassured her, no, this is definitely not crazy. So the first thing that I do in situations like this is I start asking around the other people in the other parts of the building. I asked her, has she ever had an experience like this before? The answer was no, absolutely not. I don't even believe in these things. I can't believe I'm still having this conversation. I just want it all to end. So I say, all right, fine, and I speak to the other people in that row of townhouses, and they're incidentally all men, by the way. Interesting point. Not one of them had experienced the same things as she had. But two of them, one on either side of her place, including the one that had originally referred me to her, they both said that they had had similar experiences to her boyfriend. Now, the other one on the other side, his girlfriend would never stay at his place because she always felt a strange presence. And again, here is a non-believer that just wanted nothing to do with it, and rather than have to have that cognitive dissonance and stretch your mind and say there actually is something out there that is beyond my realm of understanding and I have to deal with it, she said, I'm not going to deal with it.